Hi, everyone. Welcome. I see a few of you have joined. I'll just start introducing myself, and I'm sure some other people will join. I just want to make sure that you guys can see my screen and that you can hear me properly. So in case any of you are having a problem, just type on the chat, and I'm sure somebody from our team will be able to help you. My name is Bahar, and I'm the co-founder of Case One. I am also a practicing attorney, as some of you may know. Looks like we already, 1 second. Okay. So as I was saying, I'm the co-founder of Case One, and I'm also a practicing attorney. The webinar we have today is a little bit different than the ones that we've done previously. We usually focus a little bit more on tech and actual feature sets and product-based discussions, but this discussion is a little bit more near and dear to my heart. I think it's an interesting one, and it's very educational to understand where are we in the market today? What are other companies doing? What's the standard budget that we should spend? And really, how do you go about planning for a full legal department digital transformation? So to start, there's a lot that's going on, and over the past few years, there's been this saying that do more with less. There's pressure on attorneys and in-house counsels to do a lot more with a lot less. Nowadays, as of, I would say, this year or last year, we're moving towards do more with less faster and faster. And now we're getting new expectations added on to what was already a huge workload on legal departments previously. A lot of general counsels are concerned that existing legal and compliant practices are incompatible with the speed of how digital businesses operate. We know most businesses are fast-paced. A lot of you are with big companies, and you agree that in a lot of departments and in a lot of silos, things move a lot faster, and almost everything that's being handled and done in a corporate setting has some sort of legal undertone to it. So there's a lot of consulting, there's a lot of legal advice being given, and there's a lot of participation in very important decisions that are disruptive to the regular workload and the regular workday of an attorney. So how do we fix that? How do we address that? There's been a lot of push to also decrease legal spend. In the past few years, some solutions have been going with alternative legal service providers, bringing work in-house and doing a lot of things to improve quality and also reduce spend. But the best really solution that's been implemented in a lot of other verticals to help with this digitalization transformation, and I call it the e-commerce of legal, is technology. Technology is the key part of legal shift to a more scalable operating model. And we can help you, or technology can help you be more effective business partners to your clients. And your client is essentially your entire department and the entire corporation as a whole. And if you're a law firm, I don't have to define who your clients are, but the job of in-house counsels and the legal department is to protect the business while enabling its growth. And that growth comes with actual analytical thinking and consulting in business process decision-making and ensuring compliance along the way. So you're not alone. A lot of you are not alone in this digital transformation. According to Gartner, 81% of legal departments are unprepared for digitalization. Why is that important? Legal team's readiness is crucial to risk management and business speed. We discussed a little bit about the business speed and what's going on with the company, which we'll get into a little bit more, but it brings us to our 4 quadrant of our solution, 4 pillars of digital transformation. What do you need to focus on? How do you need to plan for your technology transformation? How do you build a technology initiative with the future in mind? No true transformation has taken place overnight, and we have to be mindful of that. Time is obviously a factor that goes into all of this, And a lot of you have engineers or legal operations managers and new roles that are being created in your firms and companies to really help with what I'm about to tell you. And if you don't, you have to select the right partners who can give you this. So if you don't have the specific expertise in any of these areas that we're going to, this is the point to identify that and to bring in the right talent to help you with that. So let's get started. What are these four pillars of digital transformation? One is legal product design. Legal product design is essentially taking legal services and productizing them, creating products out of it. How you do that is understanding your business processes and understanding your use cases and to design a process around it. It means identifying patterns in work processes, identifying repeatable processes to automate. Those are the best processes that are right for automation right off the bat. Each legal service can be converted into a repeatable business process or a product. Second thing that we'll go through is finding solutions, finding the right solutions, having a technology strategy to really source out and design and build a solution or customize or configure. We can use a lot of words for that versus purchasing one-off apps. Scalable technology can move legal teams to a more scalable department, and it can really help you be more effective, be more efficient, be more productive. But an IT zoo of a lot of fragmented software, which seems to be where the market has been, doesn't really help, and it actually has the opposite effect. It might solve a specific use case now, for example, a particular form of contract that you can automate the drafting of, or it could have a lot of cool bells and whistles. I mean, I'm sure contract analytics tools are interesting and AI-based products are interesting, but some of the horror stories that we've heard is that they have these bells and whistles, and after you purchase a few, you end up with this IT zoo is what I call it, and they don't talk to each other, and it takes more time, which equates to money to support this. It has cost to integrate them, and it doesn't end up giving you what you need. So planning and having a technology strategy is an extremely important factor in the buying process, more so than identifying the need and going through the criteria of vendor selection. This is something that you do on your own or with a trusted advisor to build your future, to build your plan now in the beginning of the process. The next thing we're going to talk about is implementation and user engagement. So the problem isn't always finding the right technology, buying the right technology, designing the processes, is getting your team engaged enough to use it. I keep hearing this saying from a lot of our customers, and of course we use it as well, it's crap in, crap out, and nothing in is nothing out. So if your users aren't engaged and using the software, you're not going to get the benefit or the ROI that you were hoping for. So with that, there's a few points that we're going to go through, but keep on the back of your head that better user experience and design equates to more engaged users. Just keep an iPhone on the back of your head of having 2-year-olds who are playing with it and you never really read the manual, all the way to 80, 90-year-olds who are FaceTiming their grandchildren. It's about the user friendliness and that engagement. And the last thing that we will talk about, which of course is the most interesting one to a lot of you, is the budget. How much is the right amount to spend? What's, how do I plan for this? What cost do I justify? How do I compare vendors to vendors? Because you're not waiting around to be priced out by a vendor of what you should be spending and where your needs are. So according to Gartner, the current legal tech spend is at about 2% of the total annual legal spend. That number should be closer to 5% of the total legal annual spend to have the right amount of technology penetration to allow you to scale. And scalability can be across the legal department, having a scalable technology. You have to understand what your legal spend is and strategically plan for what type of software you're gonna buy with that 5% to get one, your use case met, to get your ROI, and to stay within this plan to be able to actually have a platform to help you meet all of your goals, not just a single practice group or in a priority list across multiple teams of whose needs should be met first. That will address an implementation as far as prioritization. So we'll start with legal, designing legal products. This is my favorite thing, really process design and understanding patterns and identifying what's right for automation is my favorite piece of the puzzle. And creating products out of services is the future of law, is likely what happened to e-commerce in the 90s. This is where we are. It's changing the way services are delivered. And this is both on the law firm side and on the legal department side, to be able to create a self-service method to get rid of low-value tasks. So again, according to Gartner, 63% of in-house legal work is repeatable. So to provide strategic support, to be available for decision-making and implementing changes for the enterprise as a whole, and to keep up with the speed of digital businesses that are most of essentially your companies, we have to be able to free up some time of the legal team. So what type of processes can we automate through this? Well, the previously routine legal work, like systemizing legal tasks such as contracts, employment issues, advertising and marketing reviews, really any sort of process that you do over and over that has nothing to do with the outcome of a matter, or really the subject matter of a matter, or repeatable processes that could be automated. So the opportunity for legal to standardize its work is ripe. So how do we get started? The first thing that we do, the first thing that all of you will do in your companies, is to understand your business use case and design a process around it. We have to start this process by identifying patterns in processes. We just mentioned a few examples, but some of these processes could be reporting. There's a lot of Excel reporting still going on, document drafting, contract lifecycle management, litigation support, HR, immigration processes, IP management, compliance, or even some legal advice. So there's a lot of tasks, there's a lot of practice areas that have business processes that could be fully repeatable. And these are some of our examples and that we've currently done for our clients. Okay, mapping these patterns. How do we map these patterns? There's a lot of tools out there like mind map, like post-it notes on a wall, drawing out diagrams on a piece of paper. You don't have to get fancy. This is not a design contest. It's not an architectural concept. It's just to get this process that's been in your legal team's head and mind and hands on a piece of paper. So once you identify these patterns, you can diagram them out and define where is it repeatable. And through this process, likely you'll start identifying processes that could be improved even without technology. You'll start identifying patterns of duplicative work, of steps that could be eliminated, even without any knowledge of automation. So all you do is figure out these patterns, structure your team. How many teams do you have? What's your corporate structure? What's your department structure? What type of practice areas do we handle? And what are our location languages? You just want to get what we call essentially are your requirements on a piece of paper, not in any depth, not in any fanciness. And after that, you just want to keep an open mind to redesign of patterns. You can use your creativity to build any legal products. And the beauty of this is you don't have to worry. You can go back, and the right platform, you can go back and make these changes as you go. It's really important to keep in mind, keep an open mind in changes and redesign of processes, because it's not just a one-time thing. It's not a time process and you get on software and it's not. It's a constant optimization. You know, in any machine, in any software or process, there's constantly improvements. You cut a second here, 5 minutes here, it adds up to some measurable amount at the end of the week, the month, the year. So whoever owns the project, and essentially someone should own a project inside, should keep track through analytics of what's taking a long time, what can we change in our process and in our steps, what can we adjust in our business processes and handling of a certain type of matter to make this design more efficient. So, productizing legal services. So you guys can consider these legal services to essentially be products that you're delivering to your business partners. And the value of these products is essentially tied into how easy it is to use for the rest of the company and how much more independently can they follow through in these processes and make decisions without the involvement of legal. The product should be scalable, easy to train, easy to understand, easy to build, and easy to edit through the process. I have a little bit of an example of how some of these workflows and some of these decisions are built. And you can see that the capabilities and technology that exists is really unlimited. You can take any condition, any if then statement, any requirement and build out processes based on that. So know that technology is capable to meet your needs. So as you're doing your requirements gathering, just work on getting it on a paper. Don't try to improve it. Don't try to be an expert in it or create these expertise. Just get it on a piece of paper and know that anything can be built on that. In this process, you can use, of course, any expert or your most experienced lawyers and their skills to set up and design the catalog of legal services. Once you create the legal services, everyone will produce the same results based on this workflow and product that we've created. And they're guided through step-by-step instructions of and this leads to a repeatable and predictable result every time. If there's any changes in regulations or processes, just like we talked about before, if you voluntarily want to change it, if it's design, or if there's any changes in processes, you can just update the catalog with a few clicks. Another reason why this self-service desk or self-help desk is extremely interesting is because you can shift non-legal work to non-lawyers, to non-legal staff, and we can shift this requests and assign them to the rest of the employees who are the ones coming to you with these requests. With this portal, every employee and all clients get access to immediate legal services. They could be and these products could be document drafting, legal advice, starting a litigation process, any short or long process. And the self-service portal is a collection of different functions. It could be legal advice through chatbots. It could be document drafting through document assembly tools. We could, for example, examples of agreements include non-disclosure agreements, MSAs, master sales agreements are a huge weight lifted off of attorneys' shoulders as they're really they're form contracts. Most of the time this stays and is handled with legal because of human error or accidental changes in it that leads to a lot of liability, lack of access, and it's kept with legal. But if we can automate it in a way to secure the integrity of the document, we can shift this non-legal work, which is essentially data entry, to non-lawyers. When portals are designed and implemented appropriately, they have a huge positive impact on legal departments' productivity and essentially the corporation satisfaction and other employee satisfaction, the speed of business, the shorter sales cycles if we're talking about MSA, and a lot of other factors that we could discuss. So with a portal, every user has a personal access to begin requests and document assemble or access legal advice. If employees can find our answers to the questions on their own, again, this reduces the amount of support that has to be provided to them from attorneys. And again, all of this information is saved in a central location. So we're not getting the calls of, I lost this copy, I need a copy of that NDA, where is it? All of the requests are memorialized in one place, and these requests and questions can be answered easily. Oops, skip this step. So automation. Automation allows you to focus on more business critical tasks instead of focusing on repeatable processes. And I think we've gone through a lot of examples so far in this section of how we can do that. Now, why is it important? First of all, it creates quality and accurate work. We're still all humans, we make mistakes. Multiply that by the number of team members you have, and you'll understand the results of repeatable processes that are affected by just human error and how costly that could be to a company. With workflow automation, the work is performed error-free. It's a repeatable process that produces an accurate same results. Now, if you have a mistake in your workflow, of course you're going to get the same result that's full of errors, but that's not the case if we take our time and set up these workflows properly. Simplicity and flexibility, of course, extremely important. We want the design to be simple and seamless, easy to follow, easy to understand, and the build out to be simple with no coding involved. We want to stay closer to legal processes and business processes and how companies actually work versus creating technology masters and coders out of people. We're not coders. I myself am not that tech savvy. And the ease of use in a product where you can work with drag and drop tools or drop down menus is what encourages users, not just users, also builders, to work in an environment and bring that platform to a company. And cost savings. Implementing technology is about cost savings. It's about an investment, and it's about getting a return on your investment. It's not about buying a cheaper technology now. The dollar value of this is lower. It's about, again, buying technology with the future in mind. And that future of the tech stack is cost savings and efficiency, increasing efficiency. And time is money. If we can save some time on the attorney's parts, that's cost savings. So now we'll get to defining the strategy. Technology strategy versus one-off apps. Unfortunately, the legal tech industry over the past few years, it was a new industry that was created from probably likely not very much. And when a new market emerges, there's always opportunists and smaller companies that pop up. So the legal tech market in general is extremely fragmented. You have the few bigger players with known names who are not known for automation, but who are known for research and data and the value that they've been providing in this industry for a really long time. But aside from that, it's a fragmented industry with a lot of softwares that solve specific use cases, very specific use cases. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. There are companies that only focus on search and production. Then you have e-discovery separately. Then you have case management separately. Then you have e-billing software separately. So even just to get a few areas that are high level to hit as a company, you're already ending up with a few vendors, with a few softwares that you're paying for, and they don't communicate with each other. So not only is this expensive in terms of implementation, in terms of support, in terms of cultural change management and user training each time, and the rollout and painful implementation each time, you end up with softwares that no one vendor can specialize in supporting. They only know how to support their own product. They're only specialists in their own product. And now that you've created this hybrid technology, who's going to support it? A new release comes up from one of these products. It affects the way it communicates and works with everything else. So now you're investing in pouring more, let's not even talk about money anymore, more time to just support this hybrid software that we've patched together to build a solution that doesn't meet your expectation. So how do we avoid this IT zoo? Well, we have to look at scalable technology, which we know leads to a scalable legal department. How do we get a scalable technology? most enterprises get softwares like as bases like SAP and Oracle and build out, even Salesforce at this point, and do a lot of custom build outs because these softwares are scalable. They have integration points. They have incredible customization capabilities, but they're expensive and they're timely to deploy, and they don't specialize in legal. So there are companies like us who specialize in legal and have the basis for you to build what you want to build. And to do that, it requires a little bit of an open mind to say, all right, I'm willing to put in the work to identify my patterns, to identify my designs, and work with getting the technology I need, and not get impressed or buyer crazy a little bit with being impressed with bells and whistles that you see at conferences or what's out there. You have to identify your needs. That's the best way to buy anything. If there's no need there, no matter how pretty it is, no matter how amazing it sounds, it's not going to give you the result that you're looking for. So there, again, according to Gartner, in 2020, corporate value of legal functions will be determined by the speed at which legal guidance is adjusted for a business's risk appetite. I just wanted to read that because that sentence has stuck with me and has been so interesting, because general counsels and the legal team is working alongside other C-level managers who make decisions for strategic decisions and are responsible for moving the company forward. And if we're not keeping up with that speed, all of these decisions have a legal underlay to it. So you were either exposing the company to some liability because we couldn't keep up to give advice, or we're holding them back, which means we're making the company as a whole less competitive. So to navigate this change, of course, we're recommending technology to navigate this change, but more so than that is identifying an end-to-end process and having a strategy for this long-term plan of how are we going to meet this. As that requires a little bit of also understanding what are your company's goals and where do you plan to be in the future. Are you looking to scale? Are you looking to save costs? Is the company growing? Is the company actually trying to scale back on number of people that they have? That's not as important as identifying the patterns, but of course that goal helps you formulate your strategy for your particular department. So moving on to implementation process. Have you ever had to use a booklet or a manual to work with an iPhone? I don't think anybody has, although I Googled it and there is a booklet manual on Amazon on how to use an iPhone, which I found a little funny, but I doubt a lot of people have to do that. Or do you have to look for directions to use Facebook or Instagram or Uber? All of these companies are known for their user experience and design. That's their number one value. And the number two value in that was to be able to provide services in an alternative way. So what does an ideal implementation model look like? You should be up and running in just a few weeks, not years. Nobody has years to support. Nobody specializes in this transformation and can spend the time to really do this build out. And you should be able to at least start small with baby steps and start seeing return to be able to justify the need to spend more. In the next couple of years, like we talked about earlier, we're getting to 5% spend, and that's the next slide that we'll talk about. But that's not the amount of money that should be spent now. So we talked about friendly user experience and design, which entails not just a pretty interface that you work in, but also how do you set it up and how do you deploy it. First and most important thing is no coding. Coding leads to cost. Coding leads to need for developers and leads to time spent. So if you have a vendor who tells you that we'll take your request, for example, for a report and assign it to our developers to build it for you, that's already a red flag. You're not getting that same digital business speed that you're looking for to give to your company, and now you're relying on another slow company to do that for you. So build and customize everything on your own without coding, very attractive. User-friendly interface, extremely attractive. What's considered a user-friendly interface? If you look at it and it looks like it's MS-DOS from the 90s, not very user-friendly interface. Most of the employees, most of The workforce currently are living in the digital age. They're using iPhones and Samsung phones, and they're living in the app world, which are easy to use. If they have to shift this habit of just going and clicking and figuring out, it discourages them from using the software. So that's number one. Instant implementation. You have to be able to break down projects into smaller stages. This gives you multiple opportunities and phases for testing and feedback. And keep in mind that testing and feedback from users leads to more engagement. It has people get more invested in the project. They feel heard. They see the results of their requests and feedback, and that encourages them to use the software. They participated in the build. And throughout the process, you should be able to see a continuous delivery of useful software. So if you have this initiative and this transformation plan built out, and you have your use cases broken down, then you can make decisions as far as phases of how to deploy. And this means that if you decide to, let's say, only implement case management, or then a chatbot, or whatever else that you're planning on implementing, you get users to use it, you start seeing results, it justifies the cost that had, and you also have that scaling on the back of your mind to a true enterprise legal management software. This word gets thrown around a lot in this industry. And if it's siloed software, like just case management or e-billing, it's not enterprise legal management software, and it can't be built into one because it's a patchwork. If a true enterprise legal management software allows you to scale into it, both in terms of technology, effort, and price. So the last thing that we'll touch on this is support. Make sure support is included. With all of these issues that I mentioned, it's easy to get wrapped up in 100K do I spend now, or do I spend 20,000? That ends up being 200K over a 2-year period, because now I'm paying for support, for custom integrations, for coders to meet my needs, and these hourly pays or extra workflows start adding up pretty quickly. Make sure that there's at least an executive sponsor. In our case, in our company, we provide an executive sponsor, we provide a project manager, we have business analysts on staff, and we have a dedicated customer success manager who fully supports the accounts and users through the implementation process and beyond. And that's all included. Aside from custom requests throughout the process, the rest of that is the value added from a company to support you and to provide you with these expertise and engineers and analysts that you may not have on your own staff. So here's an example of drag and drop, no coding, and building and customizing a solution on your own. For us, as attorneys, we work with words and sentences, and there's no need to change that into characters and code. We can work the same way and fit and fix these summary sheets, these menus, in a way that fits the way we work easily in the interface. And let's talk about integrations. Integrations are a huge pain point for a lot of companies. There's companies who, like Zapier, who are doing extremely well because they meet this demand. What are the most important things for you guys to integration points to have? One is email. You have to be able to integrate your email to get rid of this manual saving and uploading, which some systems provide for you, and the distraction of clicking in and out of multiple softwares. Even if you have to put down what you're doing, not even close the window, pick up the call and come back, you still have to move up in the document, read, and see where you left off. That distraction is costly. It's a measurable pause in your work. It's the same as having to switch between emails, between windows. And the second part is it's not secure. And the last part is things that email are used for, which in most legal departments, still email is a primary form of communication and case management. There's a lot of lost documents. What if that employee leaves? This data is not being stored in a centralized location. So an email integration is important. Phone integration is also important. to be able to have access to your contacts, to be able to click and dial, to be able to have call recognition of who's calling you, and to be able to put these records within the case record or matter record. And storages. There's a lot of different storages that are being used. It could be still in email, folder structures on people's laptops or computers, Dropbox, Google Drive, cloud, or any other storages. We should be able to connect all of this in one place and make it easy for you to search through. And that's a huge and important integration points. Here are some of the integrations with the most popular cloud solutions that we can do in our platform with a few clicks. It's not a costly or timely few months integration points, but these are some common ones that really help ease the process, ease the workflow, as we can push and pull information out of all of these softwares and keep you connected to the rest of the enterprise. So ideal implementation stages, just summarized: research the current process, department structure, and challenges. Essentially, you're already getting started on your implementation package and process. As a part of that, if you're the one who's created these requirements, if you're the one who studied the need and created these requirements, you don't need a huge manual or training period to learn how the software works to adapt to your work environment. The requirements that you have built are the manual for your employees, because the software matches your process. They get on the software with a few tips. They should be able to use it because we've customized it to your processes and not vice versa. A short proof of concept period on multiple processes. This is what we were discussing about having multiple stages of implementation. Take a piece of software, start using it, implement the next one, implement the next use case. And if it's broken down to these smaller stages, it's much more manageable. It's a much friendlier relationship with a vendor and your employees. The team, your particular team of users know what's coming down the pipeline. They know what the future looks like, what they have to mentally, emotionally, culturally prepare for this digital transformation, and it's being fed to them in small pieces where they can learn to use and move on and use the next thing once they've become comfortable, versus spending a year building everything out, rolling it out, and not getting users engaged, and now costly changes to the process. And scalable solution. I mean, I can't stress this enough. A scalable solution for the whole company and all service types globally. So when we talk about a scalable technology, we're not just talking about adding different pieces in. We're talking about a scalable technology that scales the legal department. Once the legal department is scaled, you have a self-service arm that's hooking you into the rest of the company. And this platform that you've built for yourself can scale alongside the rest of the tech stack of the company. Now the most interesting one, budget forecast. What should you expect to pay in the next 5 years? You should expect to invest up to 5% of your annual legal spend on technology. You should have expectations of what return you're getting from this technology. And of course, vendors can provide you with some guidance. But if you're implementing small pieces at a time, you have your own data and you have your own results for your own specific company and your team. So according to Gartner, the current average legal spend in technology is about 2%. It should be at about 5%. So let's take an example. If your total legal spend is 100 million annually, the average expected tech legal spend should be around 5. If you're currently spending only 500K, your penetration rate of technology is about 10%. And if you play with these numbers, you understand how to plan your technology stack and penetration, your plan, and to budget for it. This isn't something that you have to do this year. 5% of this year's annual spent over the next 5 years is a really conservative transformation plan. Most companies have more of a 2-year plan. By 2020, 2021, they want to be at a maximum level, but you at least have an idea of numbers to be able to present and ask for budgeting and plan financially without fully without waiting for vendors and taking proposals for budgeting approval and getting stuck in a procurement process. You can really plan this initiative very well. If you're unfamiliar with our technologies, we offer multiple products and softwares. We're very modular based, and our specialty has been in legal for 10 years across the globe. Currently, we have about 300 employees globally. We have automated up to 3 full countries' court systems in the last 10 years. We've processed millions of cases. We have over 3,000 legal department clients globally. And most recently, we launched our own fully robotic law firm based on the same technology. Everything that I mentioned is based on the same technology. So if you have a need, or if you need a consult to even just understand what's out there and where you want to go, being a single vendor solution provider covering anywhere from e-discovery to bots, to case management, to enterprise level solution, we can provide you with that guidance. Obviously, all of that is complimentary. With our company, an approximate budget estimation ranges anywhere from 100K to a million, depending on these factors: department size, total employees, what type of modules are you looking for, the tailor-made solution, and really the amount of effort and work to support the implementation. So that includes customization, any custom integrations that you may have, let's say with your homegrown softwares, and of course data migration. So there's a big range, and it's flexible for everybody. So that was my presentation. I wanted to finish a little bit early and leave some time for answering any questions. I would love to hear from you guys. What are you doing currently? Or if there's pain points that you have, if there's any guidance that you could use from me, we can use this time to answer any questions. I'm not sure if we can take verbal questions, but I have the chat open to answer your questions, and I'll start reviewing backwards. Let's see. We will make the deck available afterwards. We have recorded this webinar, which we will send you guys. It will be on YouTube that you can access anytime you want. Same question about the presentation. At what point of revenue or repeated legal product do you start to see value in automating? Immediately, honestly, immediately. The module that gives you the most measurable result, the quickest, is actually our AI bot. The AI bot is very easy to deploy, is extremely cost competitive, and you can start using it without the worry of a cultural change, without any worry, because you can treat it as an assistant. I would suggest starting with a bot. Our particular bot supports anything from document drafting to legal advice to appointment setting to payment collection to pushing and pulling data from other sources. It could be the patent office, it could be Salesforce, any other product. So it's easy to implement, and it's easy to see a value quickly. I can give you one example. We have one of the biggest European telecommunications company as a client. And within the first 90 days of implementation, of course, they implemented a few modules, but even with the bot, they cut down their staff by 10%. Not that I recommend that, but they actually ended up using this extra staff that they have, extra attorneys that they have, as an outsourced model from so they started actually outsourcing their legal team to other telecommunications company. And now after 6 months, they've spun off a fully robotic law firm based on our own technology. And I have a few more examples if, Samantha, if you want to contact me later, and I could give you a more precise answer on examples and case studies that are applicable to your industry. How to automate this process? Good question. Does Case One have experience automating for removal, defense, and family-based immigration practices? We have a lot of experience. I'm actually an immigration attorney myself, so that's an interesting question. We have automated a lot of work for in-house, for legal department immigration work, for employment-based stuff. But this year I launched a fully robotic law firm as our proof of concept of how you can build a robotic law firm. We specialize in immigration. The law firm is called Second Law. There is no difference in processes. Even a removal defense, family-based removal defense, it's a set of actions and activities that you have to do, which include drafting documents, likely from template, form filling, client communication, assignment of tasks for back and forth, and your analytical thinking is extremely different. And you may have to appear, but you still have calendaring to do, you have docketing to do, you have the process that's a repeatable process. So of course that's right for automation. And these types of processes are what frees up the most amount of time. Everything that I just mentioned are non-legal work. So what is a typical timeline for implementing a chatbot self-help portal for a medium-sized company? So it depends on if you want to implement chatbot as a part of a portal for full workflow and self-service, or are you implementing a chatbot for legal advice? I can jump on a screen share, which I have with some of you who are on this call, and build you a process in a bot in half an hour or less. So actually building out and mapping out the bot is not hard. We saw it's drag and drop and pictures. To start using it and sharing it with your team is also one click. It gives you a link that you can share and start immediately working with it. The entire design is also done in the interface. If we're talking about a more process way of building, like a fully automated, let's say, contract assembly and a full approval process, it could be 3 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on how defined are your processes. It could be, if you have very defined processes, it could be a couple of days for our company to just configure the software for you to start using immediately. The chatbot can be used as an interface to a document assembly, or it can be used for legal advice or starting and beginning a case. So it's different a little bit for different processes. It could be as short as half an hour or a few weeks, but I would say that's the maximum timeline. Average time for deployment from requirements gathering to actual go live. Our average timeline with companies has been around 90 days. Some we have deployed much faster because, again, they have had defined processes, or they were willing to dedicate a few hours of their most experienced lawyers for us to do our requirements gathering. If you're doing your own requirements gathering without knowing what these requirements were gathered for, what to build out, it's much more time consuming for you to do. If our team does it with our experience and with our processes that we have, we can actually start likely from a halfway point, because we have sample processes that we start you with. And as we interview your lawyers and your staff who have these expertise, we actually plug it in and build onto the skeletal outline, let's call it, up. So it's a much faster deployment, and we could stick with our 90-day go live. Now, if that also depends on where you want to have this automation. If it's templates and documents and we're doing the full portal platform, templates and documents you already have, it's much less build out points, and you could go live in a few weeks. Does your application have built-in integrations with market-leading software solutions like Office 365? We have a lot of integration points. Office 365 is one of them, Outlook, Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, and our Office 365 integration is actually quite interesting. We're the single company in North America that has this native integration, which means there's no download, upload, save, resave. You actually open your document right in the browser, and you're able to make changes in the same view that you would have on Office 365, and we auto-save everything in the matter. So if you accidentally, click out or whatever, everything is already saved. We do have the plugin if it's necessary to use, but it's a pretty seamless integration. And we also have an open API, so we can integrate with any of other softwares that we may not have an integration with. So I know I talked a little fast to get through questions. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer. Um, in the meantime, we are selecting a winner of our Amazon gift card giveaway, and I will wait for the team to announce for me who it was. Oh, we got it. So the gift card winner is Mara. I hope I'm not butchering your last name, Kijarovi, from Autodesk Legal. Thank you everyone for attending. I am going to stay an additional 15 minutes, and I'll keep the presentation on. If you want to ask any questions privately to me, or if you want to jump on a private call with me, I'll be more than happy. I've carved out 2 hours until 2 p.m. to answer any questions or talk to anybody who's interested. If not, I'm sure I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for attending. Thank you for those of you that I've talked to before for coming on board. This is a critical step in your digital transformation, and I'm personally happy to be a part of it. And I hope that we can continue working with all of you. Do you help smaller firms automate their processes? Of course. We have the support for that. Like I said, we have the experience of launching our own law firm. Second Law is still a solo law firm with me as an attorney, and we have a managing partner who just started with Second Law. So of course we specialize in automation. Awesome. Thank you guys. I will stop the feed now, and I'm here to answer any questions. Have a great day.